two lines from the wide lines on Chav Zayin and Beis. So we had this machlokes tanoim about whether the brine is acceptable or it's got to be dafka when there's kirvei dogim inside of it. The fish has got to be around as opposed to just pure brine. So we want to sort of now get into the disagreement not only amongst those two but also of other Tanam we're going to mention later on. So, my comifigli Rabbi Yehuda ben Godish Rabbi Lazar v'hani tiroidil kamon. Okay, what is the machlokes between Rabbi Yehuda ben Godish and Rabbi Lazar and these other Tanoim that we are about to bring in that clearly have varying opinions as to what's acceptable for what? I don't know. What's acceptable for Meiser? For Meiser Sheni to buy, it seems okay. To buy Meiser Sheni, with the Meiser Sheni money, what's acceptable to buy? So now we're going to get into all the drushes and see how you interpret the drushes, how you implement the drushes will relate to exactly what you're allowed to buy with it. Okay, so Rabbi Yehuda ben Godish Rabbi Darshi Ribu Umiyut. So the fundamental difference between the other Tanoim and these two that we already learned, namely Rabbi Yehuda ben Godish Rabbi Lazar, who definitely do allow fish. Right? The only machlokes is brine without the fish acceptable. But if you have fish, itself for sure is a no-brainer. Everyone would agree of those two Tanoim, it's not an issue. So they employ the mechanism of darshaning psukim through the method of ribu yumiyut, okay, or in this case ribu yumiyut ribui. When you have a generalization with a specific with a generalization, the approach is ribu yumiyut ribui as opposed to the very famous klal prat to klal. While the other Tanoim, instead of using the Riboy Miyut approach, they use the Klal Prat approach. Okay, as follows. Rabbi Yehuda ben Godish, Rabbi Lazar, Darshi, Riboy Miyut. The Rabbi Yehuda ben Godish and Rabbi Lazar used the Riboy Miyut approach, and they would therefore learn the Psukim as follows. You should put the money with anything that and buy anything your heart desires. Riba. That's certainly a general statement. It doesn't say anything about any specifics. Whatever your heart wants. That's a riba. That's a generalization. These four things we talked about yesterday are certainly miyut. These are specifications that clearly exclude from the generalization. And then I'm sure okay, then the pasuk ends right? That's a pasuk we have there on the side, Dvarim Yudalid Chavav. So there you have a final generalization after four specifics, after a initial generalization. So what does that add up to? It adds up to so when you have this system in the Torah of a generalization followed by specifics, followed by generalization, that's interpreted as a riboy miyat riba, which is riba kol. What's my Rabbi kol mili? Okay, however, you can't ignore these specifics. You can't ignore the bakar and the tzoyin and the ayim and the sheikhar. So they are the specifics. So you have to knock off, not start from sort of ground zero and build up like we're going to do by the klal prat, but fakir. Riba miyut and Riba says really everything's out and we got to chip away and knock one thing. Everything's in. The Riba says everything's in and you have to chip away and knock one thing out. What is the one thing you knock out? Okay, my Rabbi called Mili, my meat, or Belazar miyat tzir. So according to Belazar who says you need actual fish, he knocks out brine. Well, according to Eruvin Megadish, he says no, there's something even more basic to knock out, and that's salt and water. I guess Rebbe Elazar feels salt and water doesn't even, doesn't need it. It's maybe obvious that you don't have to knock it out. But clearly, the approach is you're knocking one thing out, and you find the most minimal thing to knock out, and that's machlokas, whether it's going to be tzir, whether it's going to be mayim u'melach. But fish are not. There's no basis to knock out fish based on this system of darshaning the psukim. There's no room to knock out fish, because everything's in till you knock something out, and fish is not the first one out. If it's not the first one out, it stays in. V'hani tanoi, the other tanoim who knock fish out, as we're going to learn, darshi klal prat. Their mechanism of darshaning is not riboy miyut riboy, but rather klal uprat uklal, which has different results. The Tanya, as the Brisa says, klal. Babakar, notice, so the word klal is replacing the word riboy here, which is just different system of darshaning. Very similar, but as we said, will net you very different results. Klal, again, it's a generalization. Babakar, b'tzoyin b'yan v'shecha prat, that's a specific. So what you have here are, again, two generalizations separated by four specifications. So what you have is a klal prat, a klal, and the rules for a klal prat, a klal, you have to done elkeina prat. All you have a right to do is you take the pratim and you have to find a common denominator of the pratim to expand them to expand the specification to a general rule that covers all of the qualities of those specifications. So you're able to expand, but very limited. You're really focusing on the specifics, and instead of just chopping one thing away from the generalization like we did in the riboy miyut model, we now are bringing only things in that share the common properties of the specifications. What are those? So you have to dan elkeina prat, ma prat mafurish primi pri v'gedulei karka. Just like the express prat, the express specifications are fruit or items that grow from another item, and they get nourished from the ground. I've called primi pri v'gedulei karka. So to anything else which is a primi pri, whether it's biyayin, the shechar, the sheep, and the bakar, they clearly grow from something else that produces them, and they get nourishment from the ground. So everything else has to also share those same properties. Okay, v'tanya idach. Just now, for the record, here's another Tana of a similar ilk of this Tana, but clearly, according to this Tana, we'll see about fish, but I guess fish will determine whether it's gedulei karka or not. But at least now the question is going to be, this fish has to get in. As opposed to knocking things out in the first model, here it's a question of, can you get in? You have to get in the door as opposed to, being in and sort of being thrown out of the door. So V'tanya idach, another brisa says, ma prat mafurish vlad uvladois ha'oretz. Okay, it's something that generates from and gets produced from something which was produced from the ground. So this is a more specific type of interpretation, as opposed to primi pri. He adds vlad uvlados oretz, that it's got to be that these four things have the quality of they initiated from a source and initiated from the ground. I've called vlad uvlados oretz. So too, anything else needs that you're going to include has to be vlad uvlados and needs to have its source from the ground. My benayu, so what? It sounds very similar. What's the difference if it's primi pri or vlad uvlados? What's the nafkamina? Rabaye dogim ikabenayu. Fish will be the nafkamina. Lamandam primi pri v'gedulei karka. The first Tana of the dissenting Tanoim who fish was whatever that we brought the klal prat model. He will say primi pri v'gedulei karka hani dogim. Again, lamandim a primi pri v'gedulei karka hani dogim gedulei karkaninu. Okay, they will argue that dogim are gedulei karka because they do gain nourishment from things that grow from the ground. Okay, lamandim of vlad of vlados, but the one who says more specifically, even a more narrow interpretation, that it's got to be something that generates from something which started from the ground. Did fish start from the ground? Okay, we know certainly grapes started from the ground, and we know that the sheikhah started from the ground, and we know that animals started from the ground when Hashem made behemoths. Okay, took them from the ground. How did he make dogim? Okay, dogim imai ibri, but dogim were created from water. Kosh Baruch Hu took from the water, he made fish. So that's going to knock fish out. So it's going to be, actually, according to this, it would be actually the two Tanoim overlap. I mean, this Tana actually agrees with the other two Tanoim that fish are in. Certainly, Brian would definitely be out, but he would actually agree with the Tana, with Rabbi Eliezer, who would say fish are in, but Brian is out. The other Tana would say, no, even fish are out because they're not considered Vlad Oretz. Okay, let's catch up on the Rashis here. But my kamiflagi, about 3/4 of the way down. My kamiflagi, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Elazar, the Amrei Tavayu Dogim Nikhin, that you can buy fish with the money of Ma'aser Sheni. They're only arguing about tzir. They're only arguing about the brine. And what do these two Tanam argue with in relation to the other Tanam that we have? Ani Tanoi del Kamon, Darshi Primi Priv Gidule Karka, Uvlad Uvlazes Oretz, who have these two additional interpretations of either Primi Pri and Gidule Karka, or Vlad Uvlad Ha'oretz, V'tavayim Amate Dogim, the Kolshkein Tzir. And both of them will ultimately exclude dogim, and certainly tzir. Even though right now, the next step of the Gemara, we don't knock out tzir, dogim. We do knock out tzir, of course, but we don't knock out dogim, at least according to one of them. We're going to get to the point where they're both going to agree they'd be knocked out. Right now, maintaining one of them would agree that dogim would be in. So, Rabbi Elazar, miyut tzir, Rabbi Yehuda, miyut mayamelach. So, in the first understanding of the ribui miyut model, we had Rabbi Elazar knocking out brine, and we had Rabbi Yehuda who knocks out Mayim Melch, the lav tzir, which is not salt water, is not brine. Brine is chashuv enough to still stay in, while the other one says no, tzir is out, and I guess Mayim Melch don't even need to be discussed because it's b'chal nothing. In the Tanya of Nesata Kesef. Okay, this is now we're into the second pair of Tanoim who darshan through the Klal Prat mechanism. Egel nolad mi imo, the calf is born from its mom. V'chein seh, and so too the sheep. Va'anovim michartzanim shezarim michartzanim. Right, and grapes are born from other grapes that are planted into the ground, and you put the seeds in, and you're good to go. V'gdulei karka shekulam nizainin ugdelim min karka. They're all either nourished or grow from the ground. So here, Gedulei Karka doesn't mean that's a growth from the ground, which certainly some other times it does mean that, but here it means they're nurtured from the ground. And certainly all animals eat from stuff that grows from the ground, so that's a no-brainer. While the other Tana says, no, I'm going to add another component, Vlad Uvlados Oretz. What does that mean? Shenivru min oretz, the ma'aser brachos. So this is going back mamish to creation and saying that you have to share the property of these four items that when their root, their source creation into the world, when the first vine and the first vines, they're both really vines, and the seh and the behema and the bakar, they all started from the ground. Like the Delim and a karka. Okay, Vlad Uvlad Aretz, Shenivrum and Aretz, Maisber, we did that. Dogim Gedulei Karka Ninhu. So Gedolim are Gedulei Karka. They do get nourishment from the ground. Kosava Shad Dogim Nizanim in a Karka. Because this Tana is of the opinion, at least this is what we're asserting right now, that Dogim do get nurtured from things from the ground, and as such, that's the machlokas, right? That's what Abaye is maintaining right now. So it would come out of the four Tanoim that we have, right? We have four total Tanoim. Two of them actually agree, because we'd have one that would include brine. We have the next two would say fish are in, but everything else are out. And the last Tana would say even fish are out because they're not Vlad Oretz. So they generated from the water, as the pasuk intimates, in Bereshis that the Hashem created the water, and from the water came the dogim. Okay, So that would leave us really with a three-way machlokas as opposed to a four-way machlokas. Let's see here. So back to the Gemara now. We finished all the Rashi. So bottom line, are you going to now tell me that the one who learns that you need to be primi priva gedulei karka will include fish, because fish are gedulei karka. They certainly have grown from something else, right? They emanated from another fish. So they have a mommy fish that produced the baby fish, but the other requirement of gedulei karka, that seems to be a little controversial. I don't know how you can say that Abaya holds that fish are gedulei karka. Why? Doesn't Abaye say, top of the page, ochal putisa loika arba? So now we're going to move into the world of shrotzim and dive right into the whole lettuce thing and all the bugs that we love talking about. Ochal putisa loika arba. So the reason why I guess everyone goes crazy with the bugs, because bugs are very severe. There are a lot of lavim that connect to bugs. So let's see, if you eat a small fish that crawls, that also seems to crawl on the ground, sheretz hamayim, where they're creepy crawlers in the sea. Okay, I guess they don't have the real quality yet of a dog. Let's see, look at Rashi. So what are you going to get 4 malchus for? Sheretz cotton, sheretz hamayim cotton. This is a crawling creature of the waters. Shein bo kazayis. It's not big enough to be a kazayis. If it's not a kazayis, how if you eat one, do you get 4 lavim? If it's not even a kazayis, that's the normal shir achila. Even the berry achilihi. Since it's a berry, it's a creature unto itself, right? It's not a part. It's when you have something else, you're cutting a piece of treif cake, you got to have a kazayis cake. But if you have a creature unto itself, then that's a whole different story. And that itself becomes a choshev item. So even the berry achilihi v'loiket dalad malchus b'sheretz hamayim. Why? So you get 4 lashes, 4 sets of lashes. So 4 times potentially 39 or 40 lashes. That's a bad day for a guy. He's going to deal with about 100 close to 160 lashes. So v'loiket dalad malchus. You get 4 sets of malchus. B'sheretz hamayim ksiv b'taras koinim. In Vayikra it says concerning the sheretz hamayim, do not make your debase your soul, by doing this despicable act of eating this sheretz hamayim. And all with any sheretz that crawls, which includes the putisa, v'lo titamu behem. And nor should you defile yourself with them. That's 2 lavim right there. So on a general level of sheretz, any sheretz, anything that's defined as a sheretz, I don't know. I don't think they say what a patis is, right? They don't give it a name. So whatever this crawling fish creature is, it certainly falls under a sheretz, and as such, right there are 2 before you even get off the ground. You got 2. Harikan shnayim v'kol behen. Okay, bein sheretz aretz, bein sheretz hamayim. Okay, and included in those 2 are whether you crawl on the ground or crawl on the water. Okay, as long as you're a crawler, you're in the parsha. Umishum mipsarmo techelu, umishum v'chasher ein leisnabe v'kaskeses techelu. So you have 2 other fish water connected prohibitions that say, by when it comes to the area of the fish, it says from these that are not. In other words, if it's not, don't have these snapper v'kaskeses, then mipsarmo techelu, don't eat from their flesh. And it says also, anybody who doesn't have fins and scales is a fish you cannot eat. So you have 2 additional lavim as it deals with the fish aspect, with the water aspect. So 2 as a general sheretz, and 2 because of the mayim aspect. Okay, so that takes care of the putisa. Numola, if you eat an ant, okay, what's a big deal? Chocolate covered ants. They sound, at least some countries eat that stuff. Leike chamish. The problem is eating them is you're going to get 5 sets of lashes. So you think that guy had a bad day? You got another. This guy's got another 39 coming to him. Okay, and let's do one more. Tzira leike sheish. And if you eat a wasp or a hornet, that's 6. Okay, so you see how severe this stuff is. Now, what's the problem? The Isa, and if you're right that that a dog is considered gedulei karka, putisa nami lulke mishum asheretz asheretz aloretz. So you've got an element of the fish, the putisa, which you said all dugim. Putisa is a dog. It's also it's a dog sheretz, but it's a dog, and because it's a dog, then it should also be eligible for hasharetz aloretz if it gets nurtured from the ground. So it doesn't seem, based on Abaye's own statement of 4, 5, and 6, delineating the malchus of these three items, that if you're only going to get 4 for the petisa, that's clearly indicating that's not gedulei karka, that it gets its nourishment from things that are in the water, but not things that grow from the ground. Let's do the Rashis here. Namala. Okay, so the next one is the ant. Shuhu sheretz aretz. Clearly, an ant is not a water item. It crawls on the ground like a hay. So he's going to get 5. And clearly, you can erase the 2 previously of the water. So we're down to only 2. So where do you get the 5? Tarte hodarman, the 2 that we said originally, all generic shiratzim are 2. Okay, so that lav of anything that crawls on its stomach, crawls on the ground, do not eat. That's 3. That's 4. Haridalid. Well, the tam was hey. Okay, you got a lot of statements in the Torah that talk about not eating creepy crawlers. Kulam parshas vayibiyom hashmini. They're all there in Vayikra. Okay, nailing you more than once, again and again and again for these things. So 3 plus 2 is 5. So the ant will give you 5. Sira loik sheish. The hornet gets you 6. Shehi sheret ta'if, because the hornet is a flying creature. V'loki b'cholani chamisha, and it does land on the ground. So you can't say it's not purely a flyer. It's also a lander. So since it lands as well, so it certainly fits the previous 5 fit into it, the 2 generic ones and the 3 specific ones that have to do with the ground. Moisiv alav, but not since it also flies, you can add onto it v'chol sheret ta'if sheketz hu lo yachel. The sheret ta'if aspect also now kicks in. Do not eat those creepy crawlers that hang out in the air as well. The Mishnah. Okay, that's in Devarim. Harei Sheish. Okay, Vaidiksiv B'Gdoshim Tiu Lo Sushakshus Av Shosechem Meim Ba'of V'Chol Shetirmois L'Choshev Lei. Here's actually another one. Rashi points out that the one in Kedoshim that talks about do not defile your soul of the behemoth and the oaf and anything else that crawls on the ground. Lo Choshev Lei. Why not? The behemoth v'chai v'of. That's referring to behemoth, chay, and oaf of a larger type. Lo b'shratzim. It's not referring to the creepy crawlers. Like sivbu sheretz, because the word there, sheretz, is not used. Tirmois is used and not sheretz. Loshin sheretz davashu nod ba'aretz. Okay, it's the word sheretz is something that applies. It moves around in the ground. Kotno, and it only becomes recognizable because of its crawling on the ground. That's what the word sheretz implies. Tirmais, I guess, has a different connotation, and clearly Rashi is saying from the context of the psukim there, it's referring to the larger species that don't have that qualification of sheretz. So even though potentially there might have been even another one, that doesn't count. Okay, so we've got the hornet now down, and so what's the proof that Abaye could not have said that a dog is considered gedulei karka, which means they're nurtured from the ground? V'yamisa the dogim gedulei karka nenu. If you're indeed right, Rashi says that what you're trying to assert, that the machlokis of gedulei karka versus vlode vlodos is this issue of a fish, and that fish would be included according to the first time because fish are indeed gedulei karka. Then why wouldn't the patis also be nailed because of the sheretz aretz? Garcino, that's how the girsa goes. Lo garcino loki hey. Okay, but don't read 5, right? What do we have? He says right. So we don't have the question is you should get 5, because that question isn't that you should get 5. Okay, why not? V'misa the dog midulei karkan who putis anami look at mishum sheretz oretz garsinan lo garsin look at hey the sheva boy the milke, because the question really is you should get 7, because once you're elevated to the level of sheretz oretz has 3 independent ones on its own. Right? That's what the ant got, those 3. So chamesh is sheretz oretz, u'shtayim the sheretz amayim. You've got the 5 of sheretz oretz that an amola has, and you have 2 others that refer to sheretz amayim. So clearly you Abaye can't be holding that that a dog is gedulei karka. So it's interesting that the very fact that you gain nourishment and you eat from stuff that grows from the ground, that would qualify you as, romei sal oretz, that you're on the ground as well. You're connected to the ground, and in that form, that's enough to get you into that category where you're eligible for those 3 additional malchus. Okay, very interesting. You could have argued that maybe that's not, it doesn't reach the threshold, but clearly everyone seems to say clearly it does. If you're gaining nourishment from the ground, then you are considered sharitz al oretz. So clearly you can't be right about Abaye's pshat, even though it seemed like Abaye said it, but maybe it was a Talmud, the name of Abaye. Okay, yeah. So, but we capitulate. We say yes, indeed Abaye did not say that, or Abaye has charata, however you want to understand this, Elam Eruvin. Okay, so Abaye's pshat does not work. The dog is not the nafkamina between these 2, because both pshatim will hold that dogim are out. Elam Eruvin ofos ikabinayu. So Eruvin says that the nafkamina between these last 2 tanoim is the bird family. Can you buy birds with the Meiser Sheni money if you want to have duck or what they call Cornish hens? Can that work with your Meiser Sheni money, or do you have to buy the good old fashioned steak and beef and brisket, or are birds considered good enough? Or lamb, of course. If you learn it that it's a primi pri and it's gedulei karka, meaning they grow from the ground, and they get nurtured from the ground. Haninam gedulei karka ninu. Okay, certainly the birds are gedulei karka. They definitely eat from stuff that grows from the ground. But according to the owner, says your roots in Maisa Bracious have to come from being created from the ground, then birds are not in. Why? Because because birds were created from rakak, from some kind of a sort of muddy type of substance, a combination of water with the earth. It's not pure earth, it's rakak, and rakak is not oretz. Okay, so let's Rashi. My time. Okay, no Rashi. Okay, fine. So that's good. So we come out now that they would argue. They would argue. So the one Mandiyam would say birds are right. So now it's a 4-way machlokus, right? So now we actually, and this now fits into what we asserted earlier. So you got the far right Mandiyamar, who's the most limiting, would say birds are out, and all you got to do bakar. Then the next one says no, even birds are in. The next one says no, even fish are in. And the next one says even brine is in. Okay, but they all agree that salt and water and salt water are definitely out, and then they go up the chain in terms of what else is going to be out. Okay, so there you have it. You've got the two tanoim that will grant fish entry, and the other 2 tanoim that will not. And even amongst those last 2, one will knock Ophos out, and the other one will say only Bakar and Sain and no Ophos. Okay. So let's go back to the Gemara. So what's the reason why the one for the one who includes birds, and what's the reason for the one who excludes birds? What's the underpinning of their interpretation of the psukim to get them to their positions? So now back to the drushes again. So one more time. My time demand the maimet office. My time demand the marb office. Because Savar holds like this. Okay, another very fundamental issue of how you interpret drushes. Kolo basra dafka. So the one who's marb office holds like this. The kolo basra is dafka. Now we have 2 klals and we have 4 pratim. So of the two klaus, which one is the main one is going to be very, very important, because if the last one is the main one, then essentially what we have here is a prat uklal, and then you have like a throw-in. The first klal is the throw-in. If you start with the first one being the main one, then what you have is a klal prat, and the last one being a throw-in. So which one is the throw-in and which one is the major one is going to determine, do you view it essentially as a klal prat? When you have a klal prat, you're limited to the prat, versus a prat klal, where the klal is moisif. So how you interpret, how you see which klal, because we would say, typically you'd say before you got to this Gemara, you got two klalim and you got a prat. And that's how but no, it's not the way it goes. What really is happening is it's either one or the other, and then the other klal, which is really not that necessary, gets thrown into for just a slight illumination, but not really as an anchor to the drasha. So let's see. The last klal is the one that's the real main one. Prat. So what you have then is, if that's the main one, prat the klal. So you essentially start with the premise that what you have in these psukim are the pratim of the tzoinu bakar yain v'shecher. That's the prat klal, and you have the klal of b'chal asher tisholcha nafshecha. Right. It says nasa klal moisav ala prat. When you have a prat or klal, what's the rule? The prat becomes added to by the prat becomes added to by the klal. The klal is moisav on the prat. Yisraelu kol mili. So the general rule of a prat to klal is everything's in. Because you have a specification within it now with a generalization. The generalization illuminates it to include everything. But you can't ignore the first klal. So what does the klal do? The klal starts chipping away. Vani klal kama lamute kol dodomi luhu mishnei tzadin. Okay, so the klal kama comes to exclude anything that's not similar to it from at least two perspectives. Okay, and if it's got to be at least two perspectives, so that means ofos are going to be in, because all you need is pri and gedule karka, and that's good enough. Okay, uman demayit ofos, the one who nullifies ofos, who says ofos are out, kasava, he takes a reverse position on how you interpret a klal prat to klal. So how does he do it? Kasava klal kamadavka. He learned that the first klal of the two klalim is the main one. So what you have is a klal prat essentially at play. In play. So kasava klal kamadavka. So what you have is klal prat. Okay, instead of a prat of klal, which is the exact polar opposite of a prat of a klal prat. The prat of klal is everything's in, and the klal prat is only the prat is in. Okay, so what you have is klal prat ve'ein b'chal el masha b'frat. The rule of a klal prat is all you have is what is clearly articulated amongst the prat. Hani in midachinelo. These are in. And anything else, meaning these four specifications are in the yayin, the tzayin ubakar yayin v'shecher. Okay, elamashvat hani in midachineloi. Okay, that's what you would have said if you only had a klal prat. You would have said these four and nothing else. But you can't ignore the last one. Vani klal basur lebruye called the domile mishloisha tzadim. Since you're more of a stickler for now to be as close to the pratim as possible, instead of just being like them in two levels, you have to be like them in as many levels as you can be like them. And in this case, it happens to be three. It doesn't have to be three. If you could have had 4 or 5, you would have picked 4 or 5. But at least you are like them at 3, and therefore that third requirement is going to knock fish out, because fish are not gedulei. They're not. Fish from the ophers, I'm sorry. They're not, ophers are going to be knocked out because they're not made from oretz, they're made from rakak. Okay, Rashi. My time demand the Rabbi Ophos Kasava Kolechadika Klal Prada Klal. Whenever you have this famous rule of Klal Prada Klal, Klal Basra Iker. The first Tana holds that the last klal is the main one, ubasrei azin, and you go after it. Levele prat uklal. So you start off with a prat uklal, v'nasa klal moisiv ala prat umar b'kol mili. So in that model, you start off with the basic view that everything's in. Because if you only had a klal a product klal, right? And there are many product klalim as well in the Torah. If you had a product klal, the rule is a klal moisav ala prat, and everything's in. Okay, uklal dasim mute umeima denishrei b'klal prat. Right, the first klal that comes to now say, well, wait a minute, you can't ignore me. I'm an initial klal. I can't. I'm not chopped liver. I got to be doing. I got to be good for something. The emuchal al masha b'frat. And normally when you have a klal prat, the rule is it's only what the prat is, only what's articulated by the prat. Well, nabi midi, okay, and that would have told you not to include anything. So loazina basrei, that initial klal you don't really go after, right? Because you sort of ignore that aspect of that klal. However, umiyu ahani porta. It does help a little bit. You can't ignore it completely. It's got to do something. So what function does it do? L'meimar, it's there to teach us the chimar beklal basra, that when the last basra, the klal basra, the last klal, which is the main one, comes for its main message, loi kol mili marbe. You can't include everything. You got to take it easy. You just can't go wacko and just include everything under the sun. El kapena prat manadomi le mi beit stadim. Okay, it's. I'll grant you a lot of leeway. It's got to be, but it's got to be similar to it in some degree. In at least two respects, it's got to be similar to it. What are those two respects? They have a primi privi dulei karka. The two respects are, it's got to grow from something else. It's got to emanate from something which emanated from something else, and it's got to be nurtured from the ground. Misrabi nami ofos, and if that's your criteria, ofos are in. Bahidina, through this system, lumute dogim, okay, and it comes to exclude fish, right? The dog is not in because it doesn't have the quality of gedulei karka. It does have the quality of pri, but sorry, bud, you don't have the two requirements that you need. So I'm able to bring birds in and knock fish out because it doesn't cut it. The other one who holds that ophos are out holds he learned that the first klal is the real one, the main one. And therefore the initial attitude is the only thing you can include are those things which are clearly articulated in the psukim. And that would they call mili. That would knock out everything other than those four qualities. I feel might domilate. But prat, even that which is similar to the prat would not be in a klal prat. In the classic klal prat, that's it. All you have are that which is articulated, nothing else. Or the cause of kalabasa, but now you can't ignore the last klal, which now is, claiming, hey, don't make me chop liver, and that is able to help. Lafuke mimuta the kal kama b'mixas. So the last klal is coming to sort of chip away at the initial interpretation of only that which is in the prat. So now you got three qualities, and that knocks birds out and limits you to bakar.